Welcome to Passionate World Talk Radio. Educate, enlighten, entertain.
Hello, everybody. Any information discussed in this interview may not be the views of the station or the host. Please discuss any information with your primary care physician. This is Betsy Wurzel, your host of Chatting with Betsy on Passionate World Talk Radio, where our mantra is to educate, enlighten, entertain. Folks, you're going to want to listen to this podcast because I have phenomenal guests with me today. I'm so glad I met Tara McEwen. She is founder of HomeShare Alliance in Canada. She has a 6-week online course for women, transformational course. If you've been widowed, divorced, single, and you just want to know how to get things in order and get yourself together, I highly recommend you going on that the website, and we're going to get that in the blog. Folks, you know what? I'm ahead of my time. I have always said that baby boomers, and I am one, you're going to find yourself maybe in a situation like the Golden Girls TV show where people are sharing their home and sharing expenses. Well, my guest, Tara McEwen, is going to talk about that because she has a company that will help you find someone to share your home with and other things that go on in the home. So I want to welcome Tara McEwen, to Chatting with Betsy. Welcome, Tara.
Oh, thank you, Betsy. It's a pleasure to be on your program. I'm so excited to talk about home sharing and just the difference it makes in people's lives. And thank you so much for allowing me to be a guest to talk about this.
Oh, you're welcome. I'm so excited. I have to say a quick story because this is important. I interviewed someone, and she shares a home. Her husband was in the facility at the time, and she shared her home to help with expenses. And Tara, the tongue's wagging, right? Oh, what are they doing? You know, why is she living there? And, of course, their mind automatically goes to, are they having sex? Well, you know what, folks? I have to say this. Stop judging, first of all. Why are people so worried that they're having sex? It happened to be interracial, so that really got people talking. Because do they worry if that person has money to buy food and prescriptions? All they're worried about is that person's having sex with this person that they're sharing a home with. Why don't you ask if you can help them? This is my soapbox, folks, and I can't help it. I'm really passionate about it. Baby boomers, especially women. Why do I say women? Because women statistically make less money than men. Women take time off the workforce. They care for their children, care for their parents, care for their spouses, partners. And women are going to find themselves, and men, needing to share their home or moving in with someone else and sharing their home. And Tara's going to tell you what her company does and about it. So I'm off my soapbox, Tara. I get so passionate I can't help myself. So please tell us about your company and what you do because it's phenomenal.
You know, you are so right, Betsy. When we look at, single people living on your own, most people don't understand the challenges and daily struggles. Life is expensive, and you're right. Women are really faced with so many obstacles and challenges of just staying afloat. And there's a lot of worries about, what happens the next 10, 15 years. I had a plan previously with my partner, but now I'm on my own, and how am I going to be able to support myself in a dual-income household society? And that's why I formed HomeShare Alliance. It was initially for my personal journey. I found myself on my own with young children, and I had no idea prior to that change and transition in my life. I had no idea as far as what the challenges single people went through. I thought I was living in a bubble. And, when you talk about the judgment and what other people think, I realized home sharing's been around for quite a while. There was never really a name attached to it. over the decades. I know my grandmother, she was, her husband was a firefighter, but she found herself alone quite a bit and trying to put kids through college and university. So she shared her home, and because she was a stay-at-home mom, and that's how she, increased her income to help support the family. My grandmother lived to the age of 92 in her own home, and she was very fortunate because she had relatives that lived close by that could support her on a daily basis. And her adult daughter was widowed and, stayed with her overnight during the week and went home on the weekends. So she had a full support system, but not everybody has that. There's some people left on their own, and, as we get older, I know even myself, I find that, there are some challenges and struggles beyond my own. And what about that protective presence if something were to happen? And as far as just the household support, daily chores, it can be a burden. It can be very overwhelming for people. So what my company does is, through my personal story and even watching relatives trying to age in place, I found that, why not leverage and share your home? If you have a couple spare bedrooms, I know in Ontario alone, we have 5 million spare bedrooms, empty bedrooms. And that's where, householders, many of them are living on their own, and many of them are baby boomers. And whether it's leveraging their home for, a compatible housemate to earn some extra income to help top up their pension, or whether it's a sandwich generation where adult children are saying, I'm raising a family and I'm worried about mom living on her own. I can't stop by every single day, and I know she can, really use that extra support of someone to help with meals, maybe some light housekeeping, or maybe even mowing the lawn for her. And that's where they'll approach me to find that right housemate, safe and trusted person that has a compatible lifestyle. So that's the gist of it with HomeShare Alliance. And I think especially in the last couple of years, there's been so many changes, and, people have really opened their eyes on really examining their life plan. And what happens, what if, as I age, what will that plan be? Is it aging in place? Well, that's where HomeShare Alliance can help out with people.
That is really fantastic, and I really love the concept. Do you have a satellite here in the States?
I have people who've approached me wanting to open up a program in the States. I haven't moved forward yet with that, but right now what I do is I offer virtual services. I work with caregivers who are looking for a housemate, where they can send me files and I do the background checks through that way. We also do virtual coaching. We provide a HomeShare written agreement. We have some systems in place, but I'm definitely open to training people, because I do have a training program right now for people who want to be a HomeShare consultant, who want to have that front-facing role working with seniors and baby boomers and helping them share their home. I'm expanding right here in Ontario, Canada. I have 4 new consultants that just joined this past month. And so I have a full formal training program. So I'm definitely open to that on the States, but right now it's virtual.
And Tara, did you do, I'm sure, background checks on people who are going to share someone's home? How does that work? Say if I lived in Ontario and I said, Tara, I would like someone to share my home with me. What is the process?
Yeah, the process, it's a collaboration between myself and my HomeShare consultant. So my HomeShare consultant will do the home visit. They work great with that householder. They find out exactly, what kind of HomeShare they're looking for. And when candidates apply for that HomeShare, they deal with me personally. My background has been in human resources. I've done a lot of recruiting and as well paralegal. So I understand the due diligence and, ensuring that we have a safe process. So it's the reference checking. We look at their credit report and their score. We look at their income verification. As well, we require a police check. Here in Ontario, we have 3 levels. When it's just a supplemental income, a younger senior, we're looking for level 2, which is a judicial matters check. And then for level 3, which is a more enhanced one for vulnerable sectors, it's called a vulnerable sector check. So we conduct that too. And as well, we do online social media traces. And we have multiple touch points. I never rush a match. It's not, if someone says I need a housemate for tomorrow, you're not going to find one through us. It's a very intentional process because it's very revealing when you have multiple touch points. When I talk about touch points, it's phone calls, virtual interviews. I get to really know that housemate potential candidate really well. And especially when they've joined our database, I communicate within that community of housemates. So I get to know them really well before I even do a placement that way.
That sounds very intense, but good, a good intense, because you're really researching and vetting these potential roommates, housemates. And what happens, say, you match someone up and it doesn't work out? Do they have a contract? Can they break the contract?
Yeah, the householder will typically have a 12-month agreement. Now, because it's not a tenant and landlord, it's home sharing. It's something that, it's a mutual decision. We offer mediation services. When we are, let's say, doing the task exchange home shares, which is an aging in place plan, our home share consultants visit every month, and they provide a home share meeting. They make sure that the home share is working properly, and it comes down to communication. Sometimes, people make assumptions or there's communication issues. The home share consultant is trained and ready to be able to help as a third party to mediate the whole resolving any issues. But, if it doesn't work, then, sometimes it's just incompatible. That's why we don't rush things. We want to make sure it's going to be compatible, so we want to do the right match. But it's never 100%. There might be a small percentage that it just isn't working out. Then we help with a transition with that too.
That sounds really awesome. So how long does it take, the process, if somebody wants a home share person? How long would they have to wait for that to happen?
Yeah, now every home share is unique and different. If it's a very, general home share, they're in a popular area, we happen to have housemates looking in that area, it can take up to the most a month. But if they have very special needs, or if there's a particular area that isn't as popular, it could take a couple of months. Sometimes I've had home shares that connect within a few days just because we had the right housemate waiting to be matched, and that householder who contacted us happened to be in the perfect area. They offered, the right amenities, and, it was a really good compatible match, because we do have a lifestyle compatibility survey that people fill out, both parties, and it was a really good match compatibility-wise. So it's just the right time for both parties. So it could happen less than a week. But I usually do recommend about a month, up to 2 months.
Tara, I have to tell you, I'm really excited about your company. I hope that you have a satellite in the U.S. and not just one. I hope you become a big corporation, because this is going to be so huge. I have read about this in the paper several times, that home sharing is going to be the next big thing, folks. It's going to be inevitable as baby boomers do age, and I am a baby boomer, and a lot of baby boomers want to age in place. This is one way it can happen. So as say if I needed a caregiver, actually when my husband was on, I'll give that as an example. Do you you provide people to help caregivers at home with your loved one?
We will do home shares to help support the caregiver as well. Now, when it comes to caregiving roles and responsibilities, like for personal care, we connect with resources in the community. So our home share consultant that visits on a monthly basis, if the family or the individuals explain that they have, more elevated needs, then we help facilitate that, introductions of referrals. Now, the one interesting thing is when there's caregivers that are helping, let's say, with their spouse, home sharing can be very valuable and supportive for that caregiver. As you know, caregivers can suffer from burnout. And, having a housemate that's compatible for the family, for the household, they can help with making meals, light housekeeping, even companionship, offering a bit of protective presence if that caregiver needs to step out. It actually creates a little bit more freedom for caregivers. So that is one area. And as we know, sometimes their spouses, they need additional home support. I find that home sharing is great because I know even personally I've had personal relatives that when they've had to move on to a facility, the decline was great. And this is something where home sharing can actually help the whole family.
Yes, I think it's great. I mean, home sharing has been around for a very, very long time. Back when there was multiple generations living in a home, they shared a home. And, and it's still today, there are certain cultures that share their homes because they, help each other out. And I really think it's a great concept, especially, I know that when Matt was alive, well, not that I had room for someone, but if I had the room to have someone here to do yard work, I have to pay for it anyway. Or, if they would clean the gutters, another service I have to pay for. Even almost to have a handy person around would have been great. But then, you know what? I have to laugh at this, Tara, because if the person was a male, I could just picture the tongues wagging, Oh, Betsy has a guy living with her while her husband's still alive. I could just picture that. But I have to say, to be honest with you, Tara, if it wasn't for my son Josh, who lives with me, we pull our resources together. I could tell the audience, honestly, I could not afford to live in my home by myself if it was not for Josh. And that's the truth. So I would either have to, share my home or move to a retirement village. Excuse me. And this is real, folks. This is definitely a very real situation that you're going to see it come to the forefront. And if I had to toot my own horn, I've always been ahead of my time. And I talked about this, my show is almost 3 years old, but I talked on Jeannie White's show before. I've been talking about this for 4 years, Tara. Would you believe that?
Yeah.
That
you're ahead of your time,
going to, yes, this is going to be really a good possibility of sharing a home. And do you recommend, or does it make a difference if, say if it's a woman, to have a female companion or a home sharer or a male, or it doesn't make a difference?
It really comes down to the householder, what the householder's comfort level is. I've had some householders that are open to either, and a female's had a male move in. And, obviously we want to make sure it's going to be a safe environment, but it really depends on the tasks. She had a lot of additional help because she needed a little bit of maintenance done with her home. So there was that exchange of having someone move in, and they actually did some minor repairs, looked after the exterior maintenance, and it saved her a lot of money. And she felt a lot safer, and she was able to, have her home kept up because she couldn't afford to have someone do the repairs. She lost her husband, who's very handy, a few years before that. But you are right; you're ahead of your time, Betsy. I started this concept in 2016. And I knew when doing my research, it's been around for a while, but no one just talked about it, especially with intergenerational living. But as time has progressed and as, the world has gone through some changes, people are starting to look at it now. I've had couples, from 3 years ago that, I've met at a trade show or at, different, seniors fair, and they said, oh, we would never, want to share a home, and, we're fine, and I could never do that. Well, I'm having people contact me now, and unfortunately they've lost their loved one. They found themselves on their own. They don't have that extra support of, an adult child living with them. and they said, I want to share my home because I'm finding this home too big and I'm by myself and I'm lonely, but as well too, I need that support. I didn't realize that before. And you're right. Like, if you didn't have Josh, that's very common. Most people cannot on their own support the cost of living. We look at the price of gas now. Everything's gone up, the price of food, and our pensions don't go up. They're usually fixed. And how do we cope with those changes? So the way of the future, home sharing can help people that don't have the cash flow, but they have their home that they can leverage for either in exchange for rent. They have household support that they have to pay out anyways for additional support, or that supplemental income of someone paying them directly for rent.
Yes, that's so true. My mother-in-law had shared her home with a couple of people. She had, I think, 2 people come in, and they lived downstairs. And, it worked out. I mean, after my father-in-law died, she was alone, and she, needed the company and the support. So it worked out well. And this is really going to be, I guarantee it, and you can say, you heard it here on Chatting with Betsy. You watch. This is going to be a huge, huge business. And it's very much needed. I always think, God forbid something happened to Josh, I would have to take somebody in, like I said before, or move. I mean, property tax alone in New Jersey is ridiculous. I'm paying almost $8,000 a year.
Wow. Wow.
In New Jersey. Yes.
Yeah.
And I'm at the lower end. I'm at the cheaper end. So it's it's very costly. Here in New Jersey, the tri-state area, New York, Connecticut, and in California, it's also very expensive. And, if we want to stay in our homes, this is something to consider. And, Terry, I know I said before, and I'm going to say it again, folks, and I don't care if I sound redundant. Stop the judgment. Because you know what? You don't know. I always say this. You don't know what life has in store for you, what life is going to throw your way. Don't judge people because they have other people living with them. You don't know what they're going through. And I even had this person as a guest probably a couple of years ago. And you know what? Why? It's like, why do people's minds automatically go to a sexual thing? And besides, who cares? It's someone's business. But nobody cares that that person has food, medicine, or money. And that's what drives me nuts. Let's care about the individual. And you know what? I really would like to see, like, places of worship getting involved in helping the elderly like they're supposed to, and helping the widows and widowers. And to, and maybe their tongues won't wag as much. But I just think that it's a great concept, Tara, and I'm really so happy that you had this company. I really am, and I really hope that my audience contacts you, because whether they live in Canada or not, maybe there's some business person listening and they could start a company, a satellite for you here in the States. You never know. You just never know who's listening. And I'd like for you to talk about your online course for women, because I think that sounds phenomenal for women.
Yeah, I'm really excited about it. I just launched it last year, and the reason why I launched it, I was answering the concerns and challenges that women were saying. I did some focus groups. I've always worked with women, empowering women over the years with different businesses. With the home sharing, I found, because my personal journey, I didn't realize how difficult it was until I landed on my own. The challenges, and there's a lot of real fears, long term. What happens to me in 20 years when I'm alone? I'm not, my plan that I had in mind for my retirement is different now that I'm single. And, as far as the second time around, as far as, what are we going to do as far as with home sharing, it's a 6-week transformational program. There is a topic about home sharing, and that's why I help women wherever they are worldwide. If they want to share their home, I teach them what I do. I teach them how to do it safely, but the extra sort of bonus to this whole transformational program is we explore what healthy boundaries are, what healthy communication looks like, how to utilize your home and to maintain your privacy and keep it as a safe haven, how to build your social network, your own tribe, because as people living single, it's a very different lifestyle than when you're in partnership or you have extended family as a support system. There are many women on their own that they don't have, let's say, adult children living close by. Some of them have never had children. They find themselves, unsupported. And it's a shame because as a society, you're right, we need to help people out when they do have these challenges, and I think a lot more needs to be done. But with this 6-week program, I address these needs, and the women that have gone through this program said this is an amazing transformational program. I wish I would have known about this years ago, because these healthy boundaries, it's not just about home sharing, it's everyday relationships, whether it's marriage, friendships, family relationships, or work relationships. It's really exploring yourself too, because my big mantra about home sharing is before you share your home, you need to know yourself first, because now you know what your boundaries are, what your limitations are, and what your shortcomings are. And let's address those, overcome them, so we can actually have a successful and a home share. My program's called the Ultimate Home Share Program. So I want everyone to have the ultimate home share, but I'm trying to prepare them for it as well. So in a nutshell, that's what that whole 6-week program is.
That sounds so phenomenal. And you're right, boundaries. Yes, we need to set boundaries and to know ourselves, like what triggers us. I'm learning more about that now in my 60s than I ever had before. But, we're talking about more now about mental health and emotional health. That wasn't talked about when I was growing up. So I think this transformational course is definitely very much needed for women my age and younger. I say, the young women that listen to my show, you have so many years ahead of you, more than I do, but you have many years ahead of you to get this information and to know, you don't have to fit into somebody else's frame. You don't have to take abuse. And this is important to know in your 20s, very important. And it'll help save a lot of heartache and grief as you mature. But I definitely would recommend taking this transformational course. Tara, how do people go online for your course?
Yeah, they can visit my website, which is taramckewen.com. TARAMCEWEN.com, and then they can read more about my life story and more about what the course offerings are, and just how it benefits. And it talks about everyday challenges that a lot of women do go through. And that's where it's close to my heart, because even reading statistics and articles, there is a growing phenomena of women reaching retirement years but faced with poverty. And yes, we need to create more options, because it's going to even escalate, I believe. We've been impacted with the housing crisis, especially during this pandemic. And it's not going to get any better until we have solutions on how can we help people. And I think this is, going to be something that, you're right, down the road in the future, I think now, and even more so as each year goes on.
Yes, you're absolutely right, Tara. I even heard on the news within this month, I believe it was, because of how the prices have risen with food and oil, that people who were retired are now looking for jobs because they can't afford to live on just their, here in the U.S., it's Social Security, and they can't afford it. They have to go out. So you're now having, people in their late 60s and early 70s looking for jobs because they can't afford to live on their Social Security and whatever other pensions or money that they're getting. And, folks, we could plan financially. I mean, I wish I did a better job. But things happen in life, that are beyond our control. And the way the stock market keeps going, I might not even have anything in my 401k when I need it. But I just feel that what you have to offer, Tara, is so vitally important. And I'm so passionate about it. And this is the wave of the future, folks. I'm telling you, because as Tara said, women are more prone to live in poverty than men. And no, it's not being, it's not a sexist remark. It's the truth. Because women do take time off of work where men don't. Because women are, the ones who do take care of the children most of the time, or the parents. Now you're having people my age and even Joshua's age in their 30s taking care of their parents and their children. So having someone to share your home with can help out greatly. And I would think, Tara, even someone who maybe is a young widow with young children can benefit from the home share and help them with their children.
Absolutely, yeah.
And I just think that it's, phenomenal. And I thank you, Tara, for what you're doing and helping others. And I believe I'm going to see your company just blossom. So
I hope so.
You heard it.
I really want it.
You heard it from me. You heard it from me.
So, I want to reach so many people. This is, although I'm in Ontario, Canada, this is greater. Like this need, I feel, is greater beyond. I think everyone's been impacted in different ways, and we don't have enough options, I don't feel. And, part of this is for my future. I'm in my early 50s, but what happens to me in my, the next 20, 30 years? This is part of my plan because it's a practical plan for me for aging in place. And not everybody can afford retirement living. I know in this area it's very expensive, and sometimes people exhaust all their savings and funds to live in a retirement living community. So this would be something that would be a very practical option, and I hope to be able to provide that for other people as well, no matter what their circumstance in life, if they're going through transition or their long-term plan, especially living on their own. This is like a really good supportive option that doesn't cost them anything. It actually helps elevate them for a better financial, healthy future, and socially as well too.
Yes, because then they have someone, to talk to. And I was just thinking too, Tara, that people, whether it's a man or a woman, that, there's not the nuclear family anymore that's living close. Their children, if they have children, could be living in other states, other countries. They may not have children, and they are alone. And it's scary to think of how many people are out there alone without knowing any resources to help them. And when there is help.
And especially living as a single person when you're on your own, one of the worries that, gets you is, what if I slip and fall and have an accident? Who's around? How long will it take for someone to find me? And that's a real question people ask. And that is a concern and worry. So that's where the protective presence comes in. There's someone else in the household that would be able to, provide some help and support to people.
Yes, I just wish you the best, Tara, because I'm excited for you. I get really excited. I can't help myself, folks. It's just who I am. Tara, can you please give the information on how people can connect with you. And folks, I'm telling you, if you live in Canada, even if you don't live in Canada, connect with Tara McEwen. Take her course and, find out about the HomeShare. If you don't need it now, you might need it in the future. So I would contact Tara. Go ahead, Tara. You can give your information, please.
Yeah, and the best way to do it, if they want, I offer 30-minute complimentary discovery calls. Even people who just want to find out more about home sharing, if it's something even down the road for their pre-planning. If they visit my website, HomeShareAlliance.com, there's a button right there, right on the home page. It says book an appointment. When they book that appointment, it's a 30-minute call or virtual. We can do a Zoom call, and I can help them talk about home sharing to see if it's actually right for them. And that's the easiest way to get a hold of me. And I put time aside to help, raise awareness about this, because I think it is important for people. And if it's someone, outside of Canada, if they want to, start a home share program, they can book a discovery call to find out a little bit more about my training and what I can provide to support them to start that initiative in their local community to help people, especially single, living on their own, to help them not just survive but thrive in society.
Yes, what you're doing is so awesome and so very, very important and much needed now and will be needed in the very near future. I can just see that for sure. So thank you, Tara McEwen, for coming on Chatting with Betsy. Thank you for all that you do for helping other people, and I wish you the best of luck. I know you're going to be very, very successful. And I'd like to have you back on next year for a follow-up.
Yeah, I'd love to do that. Thank you so much for having me on as a guest. I love chatting with you. We've had a couple, phone call before, and it was just, you have so many stories, and what you're doing is amazing. You talk about the topics and subjects that people don't want to talk about, but we need to. We need to, open up conversations about things. So I love the fact that, you welcome me on your show to talk about this opportunity. Thank you for supporting, my initiative and what I'm trying to do. And I'd love to come back again to give you a report on where I'm at a year from now.
Yes, I would absolutely love that. Folks, you know what? I really don't care if I sound redundant. Excuse me. You need to contact Tara McEwen. Take her transformational course. And Tara, you said it's free for now, isn't it?
Yep, I'm doing it free for the remainder of the year for 2022. I know there's a lot of people who do need that help, and it helps me with feedback. And, I'm always a continuous improvement person. I launched it a year ago, and I said to myself, for the first, a couple of years, I want to be able to support people and as well where they can help support me with my initiative by helping me fine-tune it. So it's at the 6-week program right now. If they go on to TaraMcEwen.com, there is a link to register, and they can join my group, and I'll help them flourish.
Wow, that is amazing. Folks, to me, that's a no-brainer. I want for, free courses, yes, why not? And, I always say we have to help ourselves, definitely. And women from my generation, this isn't putting my generation down, but you know what? I'm 64 years old. I'm not ashamed to say it. We were not taught about boundaries. We weren't taught that we don't have to put up with certain things or to feel good about ourselves. These things were not taught in my generation, and I'm grateful, truly grateful, for people like Tara McEwen who offer free courses to help you transform. And you know what, folks? It's never too late. Never too late to change. Never too late to learn. Yes, you can teach an old dog or an old gal new tricks. Yes, you can. I know I've learned for so many guests that I've had on this year, really have helped me with my inner healing, I have to say. And I believe that Matt sent them to me because he knew I needed that inner healing. And I feel better about myself than I've ever had in my life. So it's never too late, folks. And I want to thank everyone for listening. Folks, please share this podcast to help other people. You know, Chatting with Betsy is not about me. It's about you, the audience, and it's my mission and vision to help people and to provide resources for people that I wish I knew I had or that I feel that people need to know about. And Tara McEwen is one wonderful resource to know about. And when you share this podcast, you are helping people, and you are helping me with my vision and my mission. And I promised Matt that I would continue on, and I am continuing on. And when you help me, you're helping me keeping my promise to Matt. So thank you. And if you missed this podcast, you can hear it all over again wherever you hear your favorite podcast. I suggest subscribing to Chatting with Betsy. It is free. I'm on Apple, Spotify, Spreaker, and so many other places. And I just want to thank Jeannie White, who's station manager, Passion World Talk Radio, for writing the blog, producing the show. And I want to thank Lillian Caldwell, CEO, Passion World Talk Radio, who makes this all possible, gives people a chance to be heard. And, you know, you have a story and you want to be heard, then contact me. And you can be on my show, Chatting with Betsy. And I just want to thank, you know, everyone for your love and support. And let's see, June is almost over, so, well, this might be out after July 4th. I can't believe it's July 4th weekend. Yes, it will be out after July 4th, but have a happy July or belated July 4th, everyone, and have a happy summer. And thank you again, Tara McEwen, for coming on. Get in contact with Tara. And you know what? We all need to become better human beings. And if we became better human beings, it would be a better world. I believe so. And as I always say at the end of my show, folks, in a world where you can be anything, please be kind because we need it. And be a blessing to each other. And let's help make this world a better place to live in. This is Betsy Wurzel, your host of Chatting with Betsy on Passionate World Talk Radio. Bye-bye now.
Are you looking for an internet talk radio station for your podcast? Look no further. At the helm of Passionate World Talk Radio are two women that want to provide a spot for you and your podcast to be heard. There are many other places for your podcast, but PWTR has the audience. You will not be disappointed. Our station has been on the internet for the past 16 years. Call us for more information. 484-364-1032 or text Jeannie White, station manager at PHECONNECTSHOW@gmail.com for podcast show details. Thank you for listening to Passionate World Talk Radio. You can listen to this program all over again by going over to https://passionateworldtalkradio.com. You can also hear it on Spotify, Spreaker, Amazon Alexa, AMFM247.com every Tuesday evening between 8 and 9 p.m. YouTube, Facebook, Facebook Live, LinkedIn, and all the other podcast directories one can find on the Internet.